And his father stopped and he put his arm around his son as he got down on one knee and he said, "Buddy, it's like life and our relationships with other people. When we love others, that ripple effect goes on. And even when you stop seeing that wave in the water, that ripple still goes on." This morning we find a young man who comes up and he goes to Jesus and says a pretty simple question, right? What must I do to inherit eternal life? The young man quickly lists all the great things he's done, all the rules he's followed, and everything he's done to earn his way into heaven. While we read through the lesson very quickly, and I'm so glad that Mariah paused this morning, because it says very plainly, Jesus loved him. That even in that moment of him trying to teach him about the idea that there is nothing we can do to earn our way into the kingdom, that Jesus loved him still. It's so easy for us to try and commodify God's love and grace, right? If I do enough, I can have this. I've earned it. And it's easy for us because everything in this world is commodified, isn't it? You know, you listen to it on the radio waves or look on TV and there's $5 meal deals, buy one, get one free specials. There's all kinds of sales going on and the tactics go on. How many commercials literally have that piece in there of, if you buy our product, your life will be better. Several years ago, I was traveling between hospitals in the area at the church that I was serving at the time. And I was on the highway and I looked over and, you know, you see randomly all the time that there are vehicles on the side of the road with a flat tire and need assistance. And I saw that there was a AAA truck there, but the thing that caught my eye was it was actually an old hearse. And it was piled with stuff inside it. There were things tied down on top of it, and it actually had a U-Haul that it was pulling behind it. And it reminded me of, you know, no matter how hard we try, we can't take it with us. As Harold grew older and gained much wealth, he became distant from his children and grandchildren, and especially his wife, Carol. It actually got to the point where the kids and Carol said, "You just need to leave him. Go and have a life." But she said, "No, I'm going to stay with him throughout. I still love him and I want to care for him." In the last days of Harold's life, he was struggling, but he looked at Carol and said, "Honey, I want you to know I set a trust up for all the kids and grandkids, and I've left plenty enough money for you to live on, but I want you to make sure that all of the other money goes with me." After a few days, she finally promised, and he passed away. The day came, the end of the service, and Carol asked for a few moments before they closed the casket. As she walked out, her best friend said, "Tell me you did not give him all that money." Carol dabbed her eye, she sighed, and she said, "I wrote a check and I placed it in the casket, and if he can cash it where he's going, then he can have it." What is it that possesses us? That is what Jesus is getting at this morning. That while the language of inheritance, it tries to commodify life in so many ways, Jesus, in contrast, turns it and says, this life and inheritance is about so much more. It's about giving. It's about giving all that we have for all the time that we have. Everything that we have to offer, that we give it, and we give it away freely. I'm really new in this role with Trinity and Capital. Actually, Drew and I hired in on the same day. Last November, the first Monday after Thanksgiving weekend, the 27th. See, he remembers. That's either a good thing or a bad thing, right? But we've had an amazing time. But it's been an amazing shift in both of our careers. I love Trinity and Capital, and it's been difficult with this new relationship that they're blending, but it's really getting back to what it was from the very beginning. For 188 years, this institution, which at first was Trinity and then Capital, was born out of it. It has existed to breathe not just education, but the love of Christ into the world through the students that it raises up. And I want you to know something. As I've spent some time with Mike on the phone, and in so many ways he was great. I was up here a little over a month ago, and I spent the weekend in Sandusky and came across, and we met for lunch, and he handed me some information. God bless you. Not just because over the last 14 years you've given out just under $1.5 million. But God bless you because you have literally changed the lives of millions of people. And I'm not just saying that backhandedly or flippantly. I want to give you just an idea. I wasn't able to get all of the statistics, but I was able to find that over the last 14 years alone, you've given Trinity Lutheran Seminary and Capital over $191,000. I was able to go through and do some basic figuring, and I'm looking at the small side. I know that it's over 50 students' lives that you've touched. In the life of someone who's in vocational ministry, it is estimated they will touch the lives of at least 100,000 people. Which means that your ripple effect is going to touch over 5 million lives just through the seminary. God bless you. God bless you for having that foresight, for sharing your love and compassion, not just your money. To think about the ways that you bless lives, both here in your community and beyond. Today we celebrate all that you've accomplished, your vision and love to help change the world. To pause and give thanks as we'll go over across the hall in a little bit, and for those who were able to come and be here, for them to thank you and for you to know what their ministries are doing and bringing hope, healing, and in some ways, basic sustenance, things that we take for granted on a daily basis. God bless you for looking forward and being innovative. When people ask me about the reunification between Capital and Trinity, I'm trying to cover a lot of stuff here, right? Mike said, I want you to do this and this and this and this. When people ask me about this, I say it's difficult. But every change in life is difficult, but with it comes blessing. Let's take, for instance, the fact that your pastor that you have, Pastor Steve, I think you guys like him, right? Yeah, okay. Well, I always do background information. Between churches and campus ministries, at the middle of next month, I'm going to be at over 100 since the middle of last January. And meeting with clergy like I did this last week. Definitely a new experience. I've been at many other places than Steve has. He's spent 30 years with you. But I love what he said in the online article that you've changed, right? You've changed. It's been like serving 5 different churches while you've been here. And that means that you've been willing to love and grow and move and breathe. And let the Ruach of God lead you, which is the breath of God. Thank you. Thank you for all that you're doing, but I'm going to challenge you. Do not stop. You've been given a great gift. Continue to use it to bless the lives of others. And I'm going to challenge you to do one other thing. As we head into this season of craziness, right? Thanksgiving to Christmas, it's like a sprint. I want you to do something for me. I want you to stop and pray every day. You can do it at 5:18, right? Plug, plug, plug. I want you to pray, and pray for the stuff that you do, but take 10 minutes a day. The first thing I want you to do is pray for 10 blessings in your life. If we're honest, you have a page that you can fill. For some of us, we could probably fill one of those 70-page notebooks. I also want you to do me a favor and pray that 10 new leaders will rise up in each of the 65 synods across the ELCA. Today, there are over 900 full-time openings across the ELCA. And I'm asking you to do this because I know Steve won't, and he shouldn't, because I don't want you to hear it the wrong way. I want you to think about, no matter how long he stays here, where's your next pastor coming from? It's a hard question to ask, but I want you to know that if we do this together, if we pray, that 10 leaders will rise up in each of those 65 synods, that's 650 a year. Over 10 years, it's 6,500. We will close the gap. What I know by going out and being in congregations and meeting with students is we do have people. We have some that are with us today that they just bring me to tears so many times when I'm around them because of their giftedness and the call that each of them have. Take a minute and try and talk with a few of them. They are amazing because they have opened themselves up to the Spirit of God leading. And yeah, I'm going to make one last plug. Pray about giving $10 a year to the seminary. If the churches that are in Region 6, which are the 3 in Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky, the synods, and up the 2 in Michigan, if we had a third of the members there give $10 a year, it would raise over $1.3 million, which would allow us to give full tuition scholarships to every student. The average student who's coming out of college right now has $37,500 of student loan debt. For many of our synods, that's actually a red flag because they know that they're going to have to borrow more. So what can we do together? I know we can do it because all we have to do is continue to be open to it. Little Tommy went to the grocery store with his mom. It was Mr. Smith's. The Kroger was like 20 minutes away, so they would go to Mr. Smith's at least once a week to grab milk and eggs and bread, because you always have to be ready to make French toast, right? And they went in, and Mr. Smith was great. He'd always reach out a jar of suckers to the kids that came with their parents. And this day, Tommy was acting like none other, and he was acting shy, and he wouldn't take any. Mr. Smith reached his hand in, grabbed a handful of suckers, gave it over to Mom, and they went out. Mom shuts the SUV and turns to Tommy and says, "Boy, what is wrong with you? You are never like that." He pops the sucker that he already has in his mouth out and says, "Well, Mom, Mr. Smith's hands are so much bigger than mine." God's hands are so much bigger than ours. But God needs us to not be afraid to be the ripple effect that touches the lives of others. Whatever you do, do it to the glory of God. May the Spirit that blows through this place continue to lead and guide through a wonderful leader and through each one of you. Would you please pray with me?